Hey, what's up, Boneheads? It's Chasta and Huey here on the line for 107.7 The Bone with our boy, Myles Kennedy. How are you, sir? Out on the road in Kansas right now.
Yes, I am in Kansas. And it's very cold where I am right now. That's why I look like I'm getting ready to go, skiing. I don't ski, by the way. Don't ever ask me to ski because I'm horrible. But yeah, it's very cold. It's very cold.
I would assume you're from the Pacific Northwest and like in cold area. I would assume you'd be like a boarder out there, like shredding it up. Yeah.
No, I know. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I've never really. I skied once. I had a gig back in the '90s, and we had a gig up at what's called Red Mountain, and so they were like, "Oh, we're going to give you day pass." And I was like, "Well, I've never really skied. I know it's crazy. There's like a mountain just right down the way from where I live there."
Yeah.
But I just never got around to doing it. I think I was afraid of falling and breaking a limb. So I went on this trip and went on what they call the bunny hill, which is for like little, beginners.
Yeah.
I didn't fare too well. Yes, that was the last time. I went that once and that was it.
Oh my God, I love it. Well, here's the thing, Myles. You're far too valuable. And I say that with experience. No, it's true.
Yeah.
Your arms, your body, because what you do, you have to be healthy and you can't like break your arm and not be able to play and all that stuff. My husband is a professional drummer, and so he's a snowboarder. So we looked into like body part insurance one time.
Right.
It's outrageous. And he's a music teacher, so he teaches, with his
cool.
limbs. No, you can't. No, it's stupid. So when he goes snowboarding, I'm just like, please God, no. Got to pay our mortgage.
Got to get that Lloyd's of London insurance. And
Yes.
Is there vocal
Exactly.
insurance? Is that possible?
I think there is. I probably should look into that. Actually, you know what? After this conversation, I'm going to call the powers that be. I probably should have these things.
I think you should. I think J-Lo has insurance on her butt. You should definitely have insurance on your vocal cords. I mean, right? It feels right.
They're not going to insure my butt. I can tell you that. I have no butt. They're going to be like, there's nothing to insure there.
Wait, Myles, we've seen you live before at like Aftershock and at Slim's in San Francisco. You have a great butt, so I think they they can totally insure that.
Well, thank you. Those were, those Spanx or whatever those.
In the Warfield too. Yeah, we've seen you at the Warfield as well. I'm trying to think all the times we've seen you live.
Oh, dude. So the name of it is The Art of Letting Go. And it's funny because truly, like, we've been rocking out. We've been playing the absolute crap out of it for months since it came out, I think, in November. But what are we letting go of? Like, where did this idea come from? Because it feels very positive in nature. It feels like we're working on our mental health. Like, I read the lyrics and I'm like, Myles is preaching to me right now.
Yeah, I'm believe me, I'm preaching to myself. I mean, and it's nice that as a byproduct of that, other people have shared like, oh, it's helping them in their lives. But a lot of times lyrically with me, I'm just trying to improve myself, and so I'll come up with these mantras to kind of hopefully resonate and use moving forward. Yeah, I think I was at this point in life where I just was tired of being reactive.
Mm-hmm.
When you're young, when just kind of like getting worked up about things and whatever was coming my way was just not. It was having too much power, so I was like, screw this.
Oh, that's good. Well, it's funny because I'm pretty sure the song is not about social media, but I will tell you the lyrics to it stick out to me when I go on social and I get all this like bombardment of negativity, and I'm like, whew. Like I just have to, I kind of have to let it go and let it like almost wash through me, I guess is probably the best way. And that's what this song reminds me of.
Or you can do what I did and just stop doing social media.
I did take Facebook off my phone, actually.
Did you?
Oh yeah, I had to. It's just too much.
Yeah. It's pretty wacky, it became so toxic I remember when it started and I thought this is so cool. I'm back in the MySpace days, right? And I was like, this is so cool. I can connect with people and I loved it. And then suddenly things changed and it was like, what is this? What happened to this nice world, this nice, internet that I was lulled into believing was so innocent? And
I blame Twitter.
Yeah.
It seemed to be where it took a dark turn. You know what I mean? It was like we just let really nasty stuff out of its cage, and then all of a sudden it's very hard to get that genie back in the bottle,
Amen to that one.
Yeah, so Miles, like Chasta said, congrats on your third solo album, The Art of Letting Go. And her and I both agree. We were just talking how much we love this album. As for anyone who's listened to all three solo albums, you start out with kind of the more folky acoustic stuff, then the blues stuff. This is straight up back in your wheelhouse as far as like hard rock, classic rock influence, heavy riffs. So what made you want to come back and get back into more of that hard rock sound that a lot of fans have known you for?
I think some of it I just missed it, and we're a three-piece, right? When I tour with Tim and with Zia who played in the Mayfield Four as well, and we were like taking the arrangements of the stuff we did in Year of the Tiger and whatnot, and kind of amplifying them so it would work as a three-piece, because I wasn't able to take out all the layers that we would put on those records, and so it was like, well, let's just turn it up, we'll kind of rock these arrangements out. And then our drum tech, Mick, one day, he's like, I really like these arrangements. Have you ever thought about recording these songs this way? And I was like, well, what if we just make an entire record, like using that formula? And I'm glad we did. And I think moving forward, that's probably going to be more of that.
It's really smart.
It just works. It works well,
Yeah. I mean, I think it's great. I will say what you will. We've been playing that, like I said, for months, and it is such an incredible song, and it gets stuck in your head. Like, I find myself singing it all the time. And I saw you somewhere on some interview say that it came to you like it just sort of landed in your lap. I think you were on a plane, which I find interesting because we've had so many conversations with artists like Danny Elfman, who wrote on a plane a lot. Is there something like magical about being in the air away from crap that your brain just does something different?
Maybe it's just that thin air. I don't know. It definitely, a lot of good ideas have happened in planes. And people think I think the people sitting next to me are like, what is that guy doing? Because then I'll get all excited and I'll start working. I'll be humming things into my phone. Like, what is the man doing in 15B?
Danny Elfman goes to the bathroom, and he said that like he goes to the bathroom so he can hear himself better and does it in his phone. But then he's so inspired, he goes back and forth to the bathroom, and he's like, people probably think I'm doing drugs because
or he's got some sort of IBS.
I was gonna say he's got the runs.
Oh my God, I love it. That's hilarious. But you got to do what you got to do when creativity sparks.
You got to do what you got to do. But that's actually one of my biggest fears, is having that actually happen on a plane.
Yeah.
Like, I have a friend who told me a story. He got food poisoning right before he got on the plane, and how and I'm like, that's hell.
Oh, that's miserable. That's okay. I'm the girl that uses the puke bags. I've had to do that several times. Yeah, it sucks. So, yeah, it's real embarrassing. So coming out the other end would not be ideal.
Well, so Miles, let's talk about that, though. So here you are, third solo album. However, most fans know you, obviously, from your time Mayfield 4, Alter Bridge, Slash, featuring you and the Conspirators. The writing process, obviously, it is different because, Alter Bridge, you got those guys to bounce ideas off. With Slash and Conspirators, you got those guys to bounce ideas off. However, it's just you, your drummer, and your bassist. So is it more challenging by yourself and not having all these other guys you're used to working with to be there?
It's, what it is for me, it's an exercise.
Okay.
Like, I look at these solo records as an opportunity to evolve as a writer. And as it's kind of like, left to my own devices, what am I going to come up with without bouncing, having the band there. But with that said, once you get to a certain point, you're in the studio or you're doing pre-pro, I'm going to have Tim and Zia and our producer Elvis. Yeah. And so that's the last step. So so that's really, it's nice to know you have these different layers, where it's kind of like, okay, it starts off, I write the basic song, I'll demo it, do a real rough demo, sketch it out. And then at the end of the day, I know that, if people hear it and go, that's great, or I don't know about that. There are songs that on this record that wouldn't have made the record because I had other songs planned. And when I played the songs for the guys, they're like, well, that's okay. Do you have anything else? And I never, one of maybe the more popular songs on this record, a song called Miss You When You're Gone. Yeah. That was initially not something I presented. And
wow.
So yeah, you just never know. So there's to me, it's important to have a team, no matter what, at some stage.
Also very important to like check your ego at the door, like to be
Yes.
open to that feedback, because that's not easy, you know?
Yeah, but you know what? There's only a handful of guys who I feel like can do the process from start to end.
Mm-hmm.
And like even self-produced, and like Prince, that there was an example, but there's so few and far between. That's like he's like a musical genius, right?
Totally.
Just an idiot with a guitar. So
No. Okay, I have to ask you a singer's question, and I'm only asking you because I feel like I know you so well, and I trust that you won't think I'm being a jerk in this question. Okay, so I've put my disclaimer out there because you are known for having this magical, crazy range voice. Like you can push yourself to just places that most people could never, ever, ever. When you make that choice, do you think about singing that in your 70s? Because Huey and I are ready. Like we're ready to see you in your 70s, your 80s. But like, let's just be real here for a second. Robert Plant, as much as I love him, and he is a god to me. Okay, he cannot hit what he could hit when he was that much younger. Do you think about that? Like Starlight. I'll just take Starlight. It's one of my favorite songs of all time. That song vocally is a freaking beast.
Yes. It's
like, how do you think about that? Or do you, because you're young now, you don't have to think about it now.
Well, I'm getting closer to that stage in the golden years. But,
you are not. Stop it.
Golden years. But there are times when I think, man, I painted myself into a corner with stuff I did when I was younger. I want to pull guys aside who track really high vocals all the time when they're younger. Like, hey, just as the elder statesman, you're going to come to regret this. Trust me.
I'm glad you said it like that. I was trying to be very delicate because it's kind of an asshole question, and I don't mean to be, but I've just wondered it.
It's a great question, and it's something but what's funny is I've discovered as time goes on that I kind of prefer my voice in a lower register. And I almost, I did a record a long time ago. It was the second Mayfield 4 record with Peter Collins, who rest his soul. He great producer. He produced some of the 80s Rush records. And he told me the story how, Geddy used to always sing really high all the time. And it was Peter who said, hey, it might be more effective if you sing lower and then punctuate occasionally with the high stuff. Yeah. And man, that really stuck with me. And I feel like I use it now kind of as a punctuation as opposed to.
I have noticed that. Yeah, I have definitely noticed that. And it's interesting because it begs the question, I guess, if you can, should you? Always. And the punctuation idea is a really good way to put that. I like that a lot.
It's kind of the same way I think about guitar playing, whereas like some guys have real great technical prowess and they show it off constantly, but it's the guys who can do it, who have it kind of in their hip pocket, and they play beautiful melodic solos, and then occasionally this flurry of notes go, oh, he also can do that. I always like that. There's something about that. Just knowing it's there and occasionally pulling it out of the trick bag. It's the same thing with vocals.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, okay, now you're talking about vocals here. Let's talk about you playing guitar on this album. So like you said, I watched a documentary about the making of the album, and it's just the three of you guys. The same guys on this album are the ones we're going to see tour, which, by the way, just want to shout out, Myles Kennedy and our boy Tim Montana will be at the Ace of Spades in Sacramento next Tuesday, February 18th. Get your tickets over at livenation.com. That's going to be an amazing show. We've seen you live before many times. It's going to be so much fun. However, so with the recording process and writing music, when you're coming up with these guitar parts, and I know you get asked this a lot about, like, if you have a song, do you save it for yourself? Do you take it to Alter Bridge? Do you take it to Slash? Specifically with the guitar, do you be like, you know what? Like, man, I got an idea here, but like, I know Slash can like take it to another level, or Mark, with Alter Bridge, he could do something really cool with this. Or you know what? Maybe I'll save it for myself and, give all myself the credit here for making this part. So with the guitar playing, like, is it challenging? Be like, okay, who's the best person for this job?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think all three are so different.
Okay.
Where it's kind of like if I come up with a heavier riff, I know that's going to go with Alter Bridge. If I come up with like a more of a blues based riff, that's probably going to end up in the solo realm now, because Slash doesn't need any of my help there.
Okay.
And not that Mark does either in the alter. It's just, but it's a different process. So like with Slash, he'll send me a demo. It's like the music bed is there, and I simply put the melody and the lyric on top of that.
Okay.
Whereas with Alter Bridge, Mark and I will present our demos, like usually like 9 or 10 songs a piece on a record, and then we'll kind of figure out who does what. And then with the solo stuff, it's kind of up to me to do that. So it's as far as the guitar parts and the rough arrangements and all that stuff, but I'm certainly not telling people what to play on the drums. He is a great drummer, but yeah, it's a very different process. But occasionally, if I have I've presented things to Slash just for the sake of like the melody, like, oh, hey, for the sake of the melody, what do you think of these chords here? And then he would take those chords and kind of do what he does and put this angle on it that only he can do. And I love that. I love hearing where it started. Like I'll find demos sometime like, oh, well, that was the original, whatever this was. Like the original idea on the first single we put on the 4 record. And then just hearing where he took it as far as he's great there. But Mark's the same way. Very creative. Yeah.
I think you're such a rock and roll unicorn in a way that you have like these massive, like you have your own really, really great solo work. And then you have this massive work with Alter Bridge and this massive work with Slash and the Conspirators. I have to wonder, this is kind of a personal question, but do you have like a group text chat with Alter Bridge and a group text chat with the Conspirators? And it's just so, your phone must be fascinating.
Yeah, we have those group chats.
I can imagine the memes the memes or the GIFs that go back and forth. Because Slash posts some crazy shit on social. And I can only imagine what goes back and forth in personal text. You don't have to tell us, but I just assumed you may have group text.
Oh yeah, we've got lots of those and some funny stuff along the way. Always, on the holidays, and everybody's always wishing each other the best. But occasionally, just we'll just get a funny meme or whatever. But it's cool.
I was gonna say, how challenging is that though? As Chasta just mentioned, I feel like you have this really amazing band family tree. Because think about
that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
You have yourself, Myles Kennedy, and then you have the Conspirators, you have Alter Bridge, and then beyond that, you have Guns N' Roses and Creed. And so I feel like it must be just challenging kind of figuring out everyone's schedules. I can only imagine because like I'm sure for you, you're like, man, I have the itch. I really want to do some Conspirator stuff, but Slash is busy with Guns N' Roses. But like, okay, well now let's maybe do some Alter Bridge stuff. But Creed, now look at them. They're reunited last year and that tour is going on through this year. So for you, are you like, okay, this is my time now to do my solo stuff? I can only imagine just the challenges of having a music career with your type of schedule with the artists that you work with.
Yeah, it's crazy because like somehow our agents and managers all make it work. Kudos to those guys because but the thing is that things are kind of planned like 3 years in advance.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I'm not too worried about what's going to be coming down the way because everything's kind of lined up, which is great. Because there was a time in my life, back in the 90s when I was, just struggling young artist, and I was just, what do I have a gig next Tuesday?
Right.
It's so I'm super grateful and kind of over the moon, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's really a testament to the management and the agents and how they're able to navigate all of it. It's crazy.
I can't imagine. Hopefully they have assistance upon assistance and travel agents. The Conspirators have sort of been a collect all of them situation for Huey and I because we've interviewed everybody. Well, almost everybody. Actually, we have a text. Huey has a text from
Fitz.
One of them from Fitz. Yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
Let me see if I can bring it up real quick.
What's interesting is we've interviewed all of the Conspirators except for Fitz, but we know him. How has that happened?
That's interesting.
Well,
I know.
Well, Fitz is from Canada. For everyone who doesn't know, he's from Winnipeg, and so mutual friends with Chris Jericho. But one of our coworkers is also from Winnipeg. Did radio up there, so it's just this. Everyone knows each other from that, and then that's how we met Fitz years ago. So I actually hit up Fitz, and I texted him the other night. I was like, "Hey, man, we're gonna talk to Myles Kennedy. You got anything fun to ask him?" And he did send me like a really long paragraph, but I don't want to. He kind of gave me an idea what your answer will be, but I don't want to reveal it. So he said he's just the most amazing dude, and of course, most amazing musician. He's done some amazing things outside of Slash and Alter Bridge. And he goes on to talk about Rockstar and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
Not to discount it. It's
Sorry,
just something we've talked a few times with you about.
Yeah, and he asked, you know, about Jimmy Page and the Zeppelin guys. He says you could actually ask him about how on our recent tour, when we played the song Fill My World every night, Myles had been inspired for the lyrics by his dog. And it actually was a very cool story because it started to transpire on tour nightly. People would put up photos of their animals or their pets on their cell phones. So can you explain what was going on there with the dogs?
Yeah, that's a good question. Good one, Fitzy. That's so yeah, that the lyric was inspired by a situation where Selena and I were flying home, and we had our friend. We'd been gone for a little while, and so we had our friend pick up Mozart, our little Shih Tzu, from like the Pet Palace. Yeah. And we were supposed to be home in a few hours, so and they have a cutoff at the Pet Palace, or what do we? I don't know what it's called. Okay. Anyway, so we drop them off. They drop them off at home, thinking we're going to be right there, and our plane got delayed because there's a storm that rolled in. And we've got those ring cams so we could see what was going on. And Mozart's terrified, like a lot of dogs, of storms. Oh. So I'm watching this unfold and watching him freak out, and it was killing. It was just it was tearing me apart. So I couldn't let go of that. So the song was written from his perspective of basically, you know, when's my family coming home? I'm freaking out here. And so when that narrative kind of made the rounds, people started holding up pictures of their animals, and occasionally, you know, like, oh, here's a picture and picture of Mozart, and I thought it was endearing. And then somehow we turned it into like, hey, if you've got an animal that you love, just hold it up. So we'd start playing like arenas where there are just thousands of phones with animals. It was amazing.
That's so freaking cool.
Yeah, it was. I would get kind of like a little, you know, hazy eyed.
Yeah, I would imagine.
So instead of lighters and cell phone, yeah, it's just photos of animals all throughout the arena.
Man, I don't think I could handle that. I would be looking at all these little doggy faces and be like, ah.
Yeah. Well, that's what was funny is after a while it became a thing. It wasn't just, it was dogs, cats, lizards,
parrots,
and then, like, everything. And then it started getting weird, right?
Yeah.
You always have that guy or girl. It's like, well, here's my pet. I'm like, I don't know what that is. That looks like a body part to me, but okay.
There's always going to be that guy, you know. There's always one. Guy. Yeah, for sure. We know you're at the venue. We only have a couple more questions for, but we do want to know how you connected with Tim Montana. We met Tim for the first time last year and got to chat with him. He's just the coolest. It's funny because we always credit you as being like the nicest rock star that we know. And then when we met Tim, we were like, Tim's like Myles. And then all of a sudden you guys are going out. We're like, of course they are. It makes so much sense.
I loved him. I love his band. Yeah, I don't know what, you know, so he's Montana, I'm, you know, Washington State. We're not super far. I think we're like 4 hours from each other. So yeah, I'm super stoked to have those guys out on this run. They really are. I mean, yeah, as you know, I don't know if there's anybody from that, you know, up and coming generation that tells great stories the way he does.
Yeah.
Like his storytelling ability is amazing, and the songs are great, and he's great, and it's all the boxes are checked. I think he's going to have quite a run, quite a career.
And he's so vulnerable, which I connect with so much, you know. And he just puts it all out there, and you got to love somebody that does something like that, you know.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's what it's about, you know.
Yeah.
So okay, Myles, I got to ask this. If you may not know, everyone knows I'm a huge wrestling fan, pro wrestling fan. And so I was trying to explain to Chasta how for a while there, I was going to say last year, your voice was heard at least twice a week on 2 different networks, on USA Network and on TBS or TNT. So, okay, for everyone who are WWE fans, the faction, the Judgment Day, they were coming out to the Alter Bridge song, The Other Side. And it was just so cool to see that song, hear it on TV. I saw it or heard it live at WrestleMania. And then WWE superstar or former WWE superstar Edge, aka Adam Copeland, who's now with AEW, he brought over Alter Bridge's Metalingus, the song he was using for years with WWE. So I don't know if you keep track of all this stuff, but just how cool knowing your voice was heard in 2 different wrestling promotions over the span of last year.
It's amazing, you know, and I'm really grateful. I think so many people discovered Alter Bridge through the wrestling thing all over the world. You know, we'll we'll play, halfway around the world, and fans will come. Yeah, I discovered you through the walkout music, and and we're like, yeah, thank you, Edge.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a cult following that once you're in it, it's like, it's massive.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, we've asked you this question before, but I'm going to go back. The last time I interviewed you, Solo, was 3 years ago. So we're going to see if your answer changed at all. I'll go back and pull it. No pressure. But my favorite question of all time, we always ask it of everyone we interview, is from the movie Almost Famous. And the question is, what do you love about music?
What I love about music is that it's its ability to, regardless of the language barriers, regardless of beliefs about whatever, it seems to transcend all that. It's an extremely powerful medium that I feel incredibly lucky to get to explore and get to hopefully kind of channel that night after night, and maybe someone's having a bad day, and there can be some healing. There's not there. To me, it's just it's funny because I'm still on the hunt for music that'll do that to me, and when I find it, there's this artist from the UK. His name's Sam Fender, and he has this song called People Watching, and I can't listen to that song and the second verse is so well written. Like it's just waterworks every time, but it reminds me of just that profound power of music, and I'm in awe of it. I really am.
Hold on, I'm taking notes. Sam Fender,
Yeah.
People Watching. I'm going to go listen to it as soon as we're done here. I have to.
Good.
If it works you up, it works me up. I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah, you got to read the lyrics as well. Like he's a really gifted artist. Yeah.
Well, I have to say, and I know I'm speaking on behalf of Baby Huey too, but it's such a treasure for us to be able to have these conversations about music with people like you. And for many years we talked to you over the phone, and it wasn't until recently that we were able to do these Zooms. But it's really cool to have important conversations, especially these days, about something so magical that is music. And it really is kind of the only time and place that we can put all of our bullshit aside and just be together in the same room,
Yeah, amen.
So thank you for providing that for us, because we need it.
Well, thank you for this opportunity, and I love talking music. I love talking with you guys. You guys are fabulous. So
we're talking to Tim on Thursday, by the way, if you wanted.
Yeah.
If you want to give him any shit.
or how's life on the road with him so far?
Yeah,
it's just so great, just so good. We're having a blast. It's the best.
That's good. That's good. If he talks any smack about you on Thursday, we'll let you know.
I was gonna say real quick, I should bring this up. So, Myles, I don't know if you know, but a sad thing a few years ago, one of our favorite clubs, Slim's, closed down during the pandemic, and unfortunately never reopened. But one of our last great memories there was hanging out with you at the
downstairs backstage.
Yes. Yeah. That was about coming up on 7 years ago now. So one of our last times hanging out at Slim's, one of our favorite venues here in the Bay Area in San Francisco, was with you. So no, thank you for always just being so cool. Chas and I were talking off the air. You are hands down one of the nicest guys we ever talked to. So we want to give you your flowers. Thank you for just always making the time for us.
Oh, it's a pleasure. You guys are outstanding. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you soon, Myles. Make sure you get your tickets. I'm so sad that you got to play San Francisco. Like, we need you back in the city soon.
I know. We're going to make it happen.
So we encourage everyone, get your tickets over at livenation.com. Myles Kennedy and Tim Montana will be at the Ace of Spades in Sacramento, Tuesday, February 18th. And of course, go get Myles' new album, The Art of Letting Go. It's streaming everywhere. Go get it off his website.
It's therapy.
Listen, okay, Myles, I was doing some last minute shopping on Sunday before the game, and I had my AirPods in, and I was listening to you. I was like fighting through the aisles of people, but listening to your music. So thank you for getting me through all the stress of last minute football food shopping.
Well, I'm glad I could help in some way.
Thank you.
All right. We love you, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.